Okay, everyone, so this is our website. And last lesson, we looked at this 3D model, integrating that into our website, and also creating this second page with a few div sections. Now, one of the things that we didn't talk about, and some of you mentioned, was how I created this contact form and how I created the footer div tag. So we're going to look at that. It's quite easy, and we'll just kind of brush up on where I got this stuff from. So if you see that the form actually doesn't work, and that's because it's not going to a server, it's not hosted online, this is just sitting on my computer. So if I fill it out and I click the submit form button, it's not going anywhere. This is literally just a copy and paste from W3 Schools, so I'll show you that. And this is where I got it from, W3 Schools, and you'll see there's a lot of forms you can get from W3 Schools, and I just went down the form list and I selected contact forms and I copied the HTML code straight from here, copied it straight into my index.html section and put it just after the slideshow gallery. And once you paste it in there, you can probably see that there's other things that we can edit within the form. So the first field is just entering the first name. So you'll see an input type equals text. That means you're allowing users to type information in, and this is going to be capturing the first name. And then once we've set that up, we've got a second input field capturing the surname, and then we've got a drop-down list, which I haven't edited. I just literally copied and pasted this code from W3 Schools. But if you wanted to add extra options for your drop-down list, you can do that as well. This is what the drop-down list shows at the moment. It's just country, but you can change this to whatever you want. If you're going to actually create a contact form, then maybe this is a drop-down for something else. Maybe you can add in fields for mobile phone or email, something like that. Anyways, I just copied it straight from W3 Schools and pasted that into the HTML section, but there's also some CSS code that goes along with it. So it's important to copy the CSS code here like this and make sure that that goes into your style sheet. So scroll all the way to the bottom and just paste it in. And then you'll have your contact form, which shows up and looks good. Obviously, it's non-functional, but it is working, and you can have it linked up to your contact button and everything like that. All right. The next thing is the div tag, the footer. So with this footer, it's super simple. I went to the index.html page and I scrolled all the way to the bottom, went inside the body tag, so just before the closing body tag, because I want it to show up on the website, and I created a new div tag. Now remember, anything you want to show up on your website has to go inside your body tag. So I went just before the body tag and I created this div tag and I gave it a class named footer, and I added in some text and images and another text box with some paragraph tags, and I closed off the div. Now that's the information. Then I went over to style.css and I just styled this footer, and it was pretty simple styling. So here it is here, just found it. I gave it some padding, 100 pixels, and I gave it a background color equals white. So I started off with those two just so we could actually see the div, and then I put in a bottom equals 0, or bottom margin is 0, meaning that div tag will be stuck right to the bottom of the body tag or the website, so there won't be any gaps at the bottom of your website. The footer will be the very last thing your users will see, and you'll see that this div tag is right at the bottom of the website. So that's pretty much it. If you want to add more and make your footers more complicated, you definitely can. Have a look at different websites' footers and get some ideas, and you can change that up. Okay, so the next thing we did was create this second page last lesson, and we created these 4 sections, and with our footer at the bottom. Now, our second HTML page is pretty simple. It's got a navigation bar. It's got those div sections that are colored. So there's my first div and my second div, etc., etc. And obviously I can put content inside those divs, and you guys will do that later on and customize this page to make it look like whatever you want. Um, So inside, if we wanted to create some more div sections, I can easily just copy and paste those div codes in. If I wanted to put something in the div containers, then I can actually put paragraphs and images and other content inside that div block, and that will be in there inside of these colors that show up there. Just like we did on our homepage where we added in a trailer and an image gallery and 3D models and things like that, you can also do that on the second page. And I'm going to give you guys freedom to basically customize this second page however you want. In today's lesson, what we're going to be doing is looking at background images, and we're going to make it so that in our homepage we just had a white background image, but in this one we are going to create a background image. Now, you'll also see in our second page that we're linking to the same style sheet as our index.html. This is the style sheet reference here in our header. Now, what we want to do is we want to create a second style sheet because our index.html has a background color that is blue. Our second page, we don't want to use a background color, we want to use a background image. So that's what this tutorial is going to be about. So in second.html, we want to actually create a new style sheet, and we want to make sure we link that in this HTML document. So right now, style.css is linked. What we're going to do is we're going to head over to the folder. We're going to copy style.css and we're going to make a duplicate of it. So just copy and paste it. And I'm just going to rename this to style2.css. And let's open this up in Visual Studio Code as well. Now, in second.html, we want to also make sure that the link to the style sheet is going to the second style sheet. So let's make sure we change that hyperlink reference to style2.css. And we're now linked to this style2.css. Now, let's go into style2.css, and what we're going to do is now change the body styling of this second page. Okay, so we're going to basically, once we've linked it up, we're going to now go into the body tag. So it should be right at the top. And instead of having the body tag show background color, we're going to change it to a background image. So we're going to delete this line of code. Okay, and now we're going to type in some code that's going to add in a background image. So let's do that. Background image. And we're going to go off by the URL, and we're going to open a bracket and open quotation marks and start off by going to your folder, so images. So let's go images /. Now the image I want to set, and you can change this if you want, obviously, but I'm going to set it to iPhone pink.jpg. Now let's just save this and see what it looks like. We're going to add some more code in here later, but for now let's just see what that looks like. So let's go up to File, Save All, and let's refresh this page. We need to get rid of the colors, the background colors that are in our div. So right now that's green and blue and red and yellow. We need to get rid of those colors so we can actually see the background image that we've put in, because those div colors are covering it up. So if we go right to the bottom, and I think we've got it right at the bottom here. Yep, here it is. We're going to delete the background colors. I might just delete the first one. Or actually, maybe I'll delete all of them. Actually, no, I'll delete the first one and the third one, just so we can still see the divs scrolling up. So I'll leave the color in there because we don't actually have any content in these div containers. So the first one and the third one, I've deleted the background colors. Let's save that. Let's refresh the page And here we go. Excellent. You can actually see the background image. And the div container is still there. It's just I removed the background color. So there's the blue div, the second one. So the first one was there. The blue one is the second one. The third one, we got rid of the color, and the fourth one is still there. So all the div containers are still there. It's just I removed the background colors so we can see the background image. You'll also notice the image is quite large. And if I go and have a look at the original image, it actually fills up the page quite nicely, and the number 15 for iPhone 15 is right in the middle of the image. And on our homepage, it looks like the image is quite large, and so it's skewed off the page a little bit. When I do scroll, you can see it's scrolling up, but it also repeats the image as I scroll down. So that's something that we want to fix up as well. We don't want the image to be repeating, and we also want to center the image and things like that. So let's go back to the body tag. Let's add in a little bit more coding to make this work. Making sure you're on the style2.css style sheet. Let's add in some code. Background. Let's see, background. Let's go with repeat, and we're going to say no repeat. So this will ensure that the image doesn't repeat as you scroll. So if we go File, Save All again, and we refresh our website, what you'll find is as you scroll down, once that image has scrolled out of view, you're not going to see it afterwards. So the background is not repeating as you're scrolling. If you wanted a background image that does repeat because it could be a cool pattern or something, then yes, you would probably want it to repeat. Now, there is a couple other things we want to do. We've got background repeat, no repeat. The next thing we probably want to do is go with a background. Let's have a look here. Let's go with attachment, and we're going to say fixed. So let's save this, and let's test that out now. So this will ensure that our image is fixed on the page, so it's not moving while we scroll. But you can see as I'm scrolling, the div containers will scroll over the background image. So if you've got content in your sections, in your div tags, that will scroll over the top of your background image because we fixed the background image. We've made it so that it doesn't scroll as you scroll. Now, the next couple of things we want to do is also positioning and sizing. So you can see this image is quite large. We want to make sure that the whole image is seen, is visible. So let's do that as well. We're going to go to background, size, and let's go with cover for now. Let's see what that looks like. I think that's going to cover the entire body with this image. It might not be exactly what we're after, but let's have a quick look. Okay, so that's not exactly what I'm after. I want to see the entire image. Cover will make the image cover the entire body, even if it cuts part of the image out. So let's get rid of that. And instead of cover, what we're going to do is let's set it to contain. So hopefully we'll get to see the entire image now. Let's save this and refresh the page. That's better. That's perfect. Now you can see the actual image is, there's a gap at the bottom of the image, and we want this image to be at the bottom of our website. So let's look at positioning for our background. So let's go to background, position, and we're going to set the position to bottom. So let's go to File, Save All again, and let's refresh this, and let's see what that looks like. Perfect, that looks great. So now we have our pink iPhone, its fixed background image, and our div containers with our content is scrolling over the top of our background image. So our content will be floating over the background image. Really, really good. That's fantastic. Now, obviously, you can change some of these things. If you wanted the image to be repeating, you can do that. If you wanted it to be a different size, you can do that as well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into our div containers and I'm going to add in some information just so we can see that that's floating over the top. So I'm going to add in a paragraph into each div. I'm just going to be saying this is the first section, this is the second section, this is the third section, etc. You can put some images in there if you want to see them floating over and stuff like that. Let's go and save this and have a look at see what it looks like. I'll refresh the page. Oh, where's our text? Oh, okay. So it's not coming up on the first one, but here it is in the second one. It's small and it's right at the top of the div. We might just add some padding. We could even make that text larger if we wanted to, but let's just add some padding into our div tags. So you could add even more things like an image and stuff like that, but for now, let's just leave it as a paragraph. Let's go over to the style sheet and let's scroll down to the div tags. And in the div tags, we're just going to add in a simple code. We're going to say padding, and this might be a little bit excessive, but we're just going to set it to 20%. And we'll just copy this code and put it into all the other divs. So that will push the content a little bit inwards and give some padding from the top and sides. And here is our first section. If I scroll down, there's our second section and our third div and our fourth div. So these are all set up, ready to go to put content in that will be scrolling over the top of your fixed background. Okay, so if you guys wanted to change your background, you definitely can. But if you wanted to change any of the parameters that I've put in, for example, you wanted to change the repeating, you wanted to change it from fixed to scrollable, you can get rid of some of those different codes as well. So the next thing we're going to do in the next tutorial is a more advanced way of doing backgrounds. We're going to be looking at animations and using parallax images. So using parallax and animations to create really dynamic backgrounds. And I've got some examples to show you guys to see what you can do with websites with dynamic background images. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so to have a quick look at some examples of parallax, here is the Firewatch game website, which is really, really cool. And you can see here we've got a simple background image. However, as I scroll, you can actually see that there are layers to this background and that each part of this background image is actually scrolling up at a different speed. Now, this is called a parallax effect, and we will be looking at this in the next tutorial when looking at background images. So parallax effects will allow you to move different images on different, almost like different layers, and moving them at different scroll speeds. Here's a couple of different ones as well. This one here, this particular example is almost like that 3D model we were looking at last lesson and incorporating that into a background. So really, really cool. You're able to actually manipulate it like the 3D models that were on our website, but instead of it being in a container like this one is, it's actually been set to the actual background of the website. So a little bit of a challenge for those people that might want to do something like that. Here's another example of a parallax, really, really clever. So we've got a background image here that is scrollable, but you can actually see some of the images will move and animate as you scroll, which is really, really cool. And we'll be looking at that next lesson. Here is an example of this website someone created called Porsche Evolution. And I'll just click start here. And what you'll see is a really, really cool way of doing the scroll like we did with our second page where we have different sections. Well, in this particular Porsche website, as you scroll through the section, what you get to see is um, the different divs that are popping through, different sections, and each time you scroll down, a different car shows up as a background image and the text reappears. So this is really, really cool. And you've also got a little bit of a sidebar here, which is static, a nav bar that's static on the side of the website. We might even look at how you can pin buttons like this on the side next lesson as well. So I thought this was a really cool example to show you guys in terms of a real functioning website that is very similar to our second page now with our background image, with our div scrolling over the background images. And one last one here. I've got this example, and as you go over it, it's not the background that's been manipulated, it's actually just two images that are going, one's going to the left, one's going to the right, and you'll actually see the text above is going up and fading away as well. And if I scroll back, it all returns. So that's a really, really cool animation. So there was a few examples for you guys. We will be looking at parallax in the last and final tutorial. And what I'd like you to do is start incorporating some of these new things into your second page, creating a second page for your own website, adding in information into these new div containers, and filling up that second page with something that you want to put in there. We are going to be looking at the background images and how to create a parallax with animated images. That will take us to another level in design processing and stuff like that with your websites. But let's see how you go. If you have any issues, make sure you contact me.